Hello, hi there. I'm Konstantina Koukou. I'm a cybersecurity expert, and I'm currently working in Checkpoint Software Technologies. Today, in Besides Athens 2022, I want to discuss with you about something that for me is very interesting. It's been around for quite some time. I think that you already heard of. It's about zero trust model. It's a new term. Everybody's talking about it, and maybe has a project on it. So I would like to navigate on it together. So before actually start talking about zero trust model, I would like to generally start talking about a little about trust and as a human factor and something that you would trust as a human. Personally, for me, I have zero trust in airport sushi. I don't know if you have ever tried that. It's terrible. I would never use a used mattress in my own place. I don't believe in competition scam, of course, as a security person. And also, I don't have trust in everything that has IP and it's communicating. So if traditional access, we would say it's about the principle of trust but verify. Zero trust is rooted around the principle of never trust and always verify. And on the network level, this is a nice picture of what zero trust would be. Next, I would like to state that zero trust security is not a product, of course, as you may know, it's a process. There are many best practices, there are principles that organizations should observe on the path to zero trust security. And to better understand that, I will drop an analogy with our physical world, with the real world. And it's not other than the airport. I think you visited quite some times. And in doing so, I think that we participate in many zero trust experiences. And all the security processes, airport security processes, are consisting a great example of zero trust implementation strategy. So to begin with, I will start with the basics. We are always verifying the person that requests access in the airport, the context of the request in a more generic IT perspective, the risk that this request may have, and then we are granting access. We require nowadays more than one piece of identification and evidence to authenticate the user. And in the case of the airport, we use the passport in order to say to state who we say we are, and we are boarding also. We are using the boarding pass to board the right place, going to the correct destination. In many places, actually, now they are starting using also some kind of biometrics for a second factor of authentication. And generally, authentication could be any combination of course, as you know, something like a password, something you have like a verification SMS, and something that you are like a biometric usage. And another principle, I think it's very important, is that, as we said, you would never automatically trust anything. And in our example, this means that we are passing the gate, we have shown, showcased our boarding pass, but still you're not quite there. You still have to show your luggage. And this is because even when there is nothing wrong with the passenger, with you, of course, we have identified you, but there is a strict protocol in the airport that, yes, we have to check what you may carry in this luggage that you don't even know that. People are doing mistakes. They sometimes carry dangerous things on the hand luggage without knowing that. And the same is, we would say, with employees in our organization. There is someone that is really trusted. He has passed the door in the morning, scanned his card, came in the office, but he's also carrying his laptop. We know who he says he is. He's also his John. But on the other hand, we don't know what this device may bring into the organization. It could be the mobile, the laptop, whatever, and easily it could be carrying malware on it with the danger of infecting the whole network. So principle number 3 for the zero trust is that you have to monitor and audit everything. You can protect what you can see, that it is known. So you have to monitor every activity, something that usually it's checked by security officers to quickly understand and react on something that seems suspicious. And this should be, of course, real time, and visibility is especially important for users who have administrative rights due to the sheer scope of their access permission and the sensitivity of the data that they can reach. So we need to say also that by doing so and by building a security architecture around these principles, what it should definitely succeed in is that it should have zero false positives, low false positives, zero false negatives, and it should be useless, seamless for the user. I mean, everything we described so far in the airport example, it was generally speaking quite intuitive for the user. It required almost little experience and awareness of the process. And it is very important, we always say that for cybersecurity to be consumed, it also has to be well understood and easy for the user. And on the other hand, of course, it should be simple, but it should be preventive, meaning that we should also always take the right decision when there is a suspicious incident, and it should be blocked. And it should be efficient, meaning both for the users, as we said, but also for the administrators of the infrastructure. And it should be complete. It should implement all the principles of zero trust model. It should increase operational security efficiency overall. And of course, it should be protective for your organization against cyber attacks with real-time threat prevention. So we're talking about zero trust people. Zero trust people is zero trust passengers in our example, zero trust devices, languages, zero trust workloads. In this case, could be AI and intelligence, zero trust networks, and zero trust data. We're going to go into that a little fast. So what we have to do in each of these pillars of zero trust architecture. When we're talking about zero trust network, of course, we have to identify data and assets that are valuable for the organization. We should classify the level of the sensitivity for each asset. We should map all data flows that are happening in our organization, east, west, north, south, everything, northbound. And we should also group assets with similar functionalities and sensitivity levels into the same microsegment. For example, all the resources that the R&D is using, the source code and the ticket management system, it would be nice to be in the same microsegment. And another thing, it could be nice to deploy a segmentation gateway, whether it's physical or virtual, in the network. And last but not least, we should also define a least privileged access policy to each of these assets. For example, the R&D group should access only their own team's source code and not the next the colleagues that, although he's also an engineer, he belongs to another group. So everyone should access the things that he's enlisted to. So zero trust people, we are talking about people a lot and their involvement in cybersecurity. And the thing is that we have, of course, to authenticate user identities on the network level, and not if possible at the application, meaning that you don't allow authenticating users closer to a security gateway on the network level. Will block hackers from getting too close to the system and dramatically minimize this way the attack surface. Of course, you should do and use SSO, which simplifies the process of authentication. Reassuring our identities with multi-factor authentication is a must. And also you should set context-aware policies, meaning narrowing down the definition of authorized connections by adding multiple conditions regarding the context of the connection. For example, you may think that this resource should be accessed by this partner that connects from Greece only 9 to 5. and it's something that should be implemented on the network firewall. And of course, we are talking also a lot about that, detecting anomalies, compare connections with the baseline that we have, and for example, identify unsuccessful logins, unusual times and location, and more, and be able to act on this event. Zero trust devices also. When we're talking about that, is to take a practical approach to minimize the attack surface that comes from the devices. For all workstations and mobile devices, of course, no matter if they are corporate or also personal, it should carry some security controls by the corporation in case it touches corporate data. So it should have some kind of protection against the zero-day malware, ransomware. We should have protection against zero phishing, and all the stuff that we are currently doing at the endpoint. And of course, we should block corporate access to the devices that are infected. So posture management and conditional access should be also a solution of zero trust devices. And of course, the first thing, we are talking about segmentation. It's always a good idea. IT, IoT, OT, whatever you have in the network, it should be segmented on the useful, on its practical side. When we are talking now about zero trust data, we want to enforce encryption on the portable media. We want to provide secure access for remote users. We want to apply DLP also, DLP rules for our users and the classification of the data that is being used. And a nice tip here is that in order to raise the employees' awareness of the data use policies that you have, we know that DLP can be very hard to implement in your organization. You can release some self-remediation DLP policies that will allow to notify the user for improper data handling that he's making in real time, and have the option for him to send, discard, or review the issue. It's a kind of training technique that is accommodated in many solutions, in many DLP solutions. And actually now the other part is about zero trust workloads. And now we are talking about, as you understand, application workloads, things that are sitting on the private cloud or the public cloud. And here, of course, you have to identify all the cloud assets that need to be protected. At every point that our organization has data needs to be protected with similar protection and with unified policies. And we should identify everything that is related to the cloud. We could have a database server that connects to the cloud through internet. Of course, it should be also listed and have the correct way of communication. And define internal segmentation based on list privilege. We said that before. I think it's very, very important. Visibility and analytics, and I think that I'm slowly coming to an end of this wrap up of the zero trust model. Visibility and analytics is a key, I think, in everywhere. In order to simplify all these solutions, they are technical solutions, but also we are talking here, zero trust is also a framework. So we are talking about processes, but overall, we should have in place some ways to easily check our effective measures, to check what we have implemented, to have our logs and to revisit them in order to daily and in real time, of course, to understand the anomalies. And whenever you can, of course, you can leverage the threat intelligence services in order to have indicators, real-time threat indicators that are aggregated in order to share, to have useful information that is shared among all your enforcement points. And finally, I think that wrapping it up, it's zero trust is something that needs to be discussed and needs to take the right approach, see what the control, but I think it's more about the mindset. about what we can do, and all this never trust, always verify. I think it's very important. So it's Zero Trust is here to keep us safe. The implementation should be practical and easy to consume. We want to be effective, and better security always matters. And I think in the future will be an even bigger concern. So it's nice that we act proactively. So stay safe, trust no one. I know that this is sounding a little strange, but this is it when we're talking about cyber attacks. I have listed here some useful links. Maybe you can also revisit. And that was it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the conference. Bye.